It's 7:30. Good morning, I'm Ian Crouch with Hunter News. Newcastle boxer Chad Hollywood Bennett has spoken of his shame after being charged with assaulting his partner. The Herald reports the 42-year-old allegedly grabbed his girlfriend around the throat following a drunken dispute last weekend. Bennett says he's receiving psychiatric help to battle his inner demons, while his partner, who's a former police officer, is standing by him, saying he's a good human being. A report which suggests hiking up parking prices in Newcastle is being debated by Council tonight. The report is also encouraging Council to consider new technologies which would allow people to pay for parking via their smartphones. Business groups have been vocal in their opposition to parking meters, arguing they'll discourage shoppers from coming to the CBD. Newcastle business owner Paul Murphy says people already avoid paid parking in the city.
The parking meters around the Newcastle West area are not utilised because people look for areas where they don't have to pay for parking facilities. So unfortunately then I think the Market Town Shopping Centre gets inundated with extra parking people and places being taken down there. But yeah, there has been a real problem in the area and it needs to be sorted out sooner rather than later.
Meanwhile, Newcastle councillors will decide tonight whether they should get a pay rise. They can approve a 2.5% increase or a 7.7% rise. Councillor Brad Luke doesn't believe they should receive any pay increase, especially after rates just went up by nearly 50%. The drug ice will be in the spotlight at Newcastle City Hall today. The National Ice Task Force is visiting the region to hear first-hand accounts from police, health and community service workers who witnessed the devastating effects the drug is having on users. The three-person task force is going around the country to find the best ways to tackle the problem. Residents and businesses in Lake Macquarie are being encouraged to have an active voice on reform issues surrounding the state government's Fit for the Future program. Council's opposing the recommendation to amalgamate with Newcastle Council, with an information pack to be delivered to 90,000 properties in the city this week. Mayor Jodie Harrison says ratepayers will bear the brunt of amalgamation costs.
There are sustainability issues with councils right across the state. There's no doubt about that. The issue, though, is whether amalgamations are the only solution. There are considerable costs, hundreds of millions of dollars in amalgamation, and that will ultimately have to be borne by the ratepayer.
Briefly in other news, heritage experts have inspected the former Newcastle Post Office, finding the interior is in such a poor state it will need to be ripped out. And an inquiry looking into mass greyhound graves at the Keenbar Trial Track near Cessnock will release its findings this afternoon.
Sport for our sponsor, newcastlecheapestcars.com.au.
Newcastle Jets coach Phil Stubbins has pleaded with Football Federation Australia to review the coaching setup at the struggling club. The FFA took control over the Jets last Wednesday after disgraced owner Nathan Tinkler was stripped of his A-League licence. Unlike players, the contracts of coaching staff were not carried over by the FFA, putting their positions in jeopardy. The Newcastle Knights will be at the mercy of coach Rick Stone after a 31-18 loss to the Broncos at Hunter Stadium last night. After leading by 8 points at half-time and losing skipper Kurt Gidley to a head clash, the Knights fell victim to the momentum of the Brisbane side. Stone says the team just weren't switched on enough.
At 18-6, you're probably in control of the game at half-time. But I don't know if it would have mattered considering how we started. Look, in the NRL, you've got to compete hard, but you've got to concentrate and you've got to execute. And our concentration coming out of half-time wasn't to NRL standard.
And in golf, Charlestown's James Niddies and Belmont's Nick Flanagan will be back in action on Thursday, playing in the Rex Hospital Open of the Web.com Tour in North Carolina. That's sport. I'm Emily Crow.
2 in your RFM News Time, 26 to 8.